What's going on, everybody? I am Harrison Graham. Welcome back into another episode of Four Verts. Got some NFL news and storylines from OTAs that we're going to get into. And, yep, he's back in the headlines. Aaron Rodgers, that's where we'll kick things off, as he was down in Austin. He did a little Q&A. I don't really know what for. Then he hopped on Rogan's podcast. No surprise there. And, was asked some different things during this Q&A session, including, for some reason, he was asked if he would ever sign with the Bears, I guess because that was his longtime rival. But the answer to that question was kind of a hint that he could be signing with the Steelers, which, of course, has been rumored forever. Here's what he had to say. He said, "No, I wouldn't sign with the Bears, but I believe there's a team that might play in Chicago this year on a road trip." Now, obviously, the team that's been linked to Rodgers the most is the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they're the last of the 32 teams that doesn't have an obvious starter, unless you want to count the Saints, but I don't think Rodgers is going to the Saints. Pittsburgh plays in Chicago in Week 12. Obviously, he's played at Soldier Field a bunch. Now, if you really want to go deep theory, and we'll talk Vikings in a second, Vikings play in Chicago Week 1. Just throwing that out there. Maybe he was twisting people's arm a bit. Who knows? But what I'll say now is what we've said for well over a month, 2 months now. Like, what is the holdup? I know about a month ago now, Rodgers said he's got things in his personal life, and then I think there was something recently where he's got a couple of close friends who are battling cancer. I don't know what's true and what isn't. And listen, that's fine. Like, we all have personal things, and they take precedent over work. I get all that. But this is the NFL, and there is a calendar in the NFL. Like, at some point, a decision has to be made. And I'll be completely honest, I've kind of lost a little respect for the Steelers in this process. Like, him holding them hostage is probably a little bit of a strong phrase to use, but I don't really know what else you call it, because they seem comfortable with him just operating under his own timetable. And if he ultimately did not sign, they'd be in a pretty tough spot. So the fact that they've put all their eggs in this basket and they're just letting him dictate the timeline, to me, that does not feel like the Steelers we've known. The Steelers I've known my entire life. And I know things have been kind of slipping the last few years. They can't win a playoff game, but this is still one of the most well-respected organizations in sports. Mike Tomlin is a very buttoned-up individual. The Rooneys are very well-respected, and they're letting 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers just dictate everything. I find it to be very, very odd. Now, there is a loose report out there. Jeremy Fowler went on Dan Patrick and basically said that there's people in NFL circles that still believe that Rodgers is holding out hope for the Minnesota Vikings, despite Rodgers a few weeks back dismissing that idea, and despite the Vikings making it pretty clear they're pushing forward with J.J. McCarthy. Let's just hear what Fowler had to say. He said, "There's some teams that I've talked to that are still kind of wondering, is he just waiting out the Vikings? Because the Vikings would be an ideal scenario. One of the best play callers in the league, Kevin O'Connell, 9 dome games as well. Obviously, playing indoors would be ideal for any aging quarterback, and really just all quarterbacks would like to play in ideal conditions, obviously, whereas in Pittsburgh it's going to be cold, it's going to be windy, bad weather can pop into play from time to time as you get later in the season, and obviously any quarterback would prefer the Vikings. I mean, that's not even a slight at the Steelers. It's just, if you had to rank all 32 teams, how far down the list do you get before you'd be like, yep, Vikings is where I'd like to play if I'm a quarterback? I'd say it's in the top 5 or 6. Kevin O'Connell, young, up-and-coming offensive coach that just resurrected Sam Darnold, did great things with Kirk Cousins. Oh, Justin Jefferson's sitting over there. Jordan Addison, you're getting protected by Christian Darrisaw and a rebuilt interior offensive line. Like, it would be very, very high on the list. So, obviously, the idea of playing in Minnesota would be a better appeal if you're someone like Aaron Rodgers than the Pittsburgh Steelers would be. But it just doesn't seem that realistic, which is where Fowler keeps going in his report and says there's some element of that, but checking with the Vikings, I still don't expect that. They're moving forward with J.J. McCarthy, so he really has no other options other than Pittsburgh or retire. Again, I kind of just think it's a bad look on Pittsburgh's organization. Like, what if he just says no? What if he just retires? Like, they could sit there and say, well, we got Mason Rudolph. We drafted Will Howard. Yeah, like, all right, man. Like, to me, they've operated like a team that expects Aaron Rodgers to sign, and maybe he's given them some indication that he will, but until he does, we don't know for sure what he's going to do. Even the Steelers can't know with 100% certainty what he's going to do because he has not signed a contract. Like, he just has, to me, Pittsburgh should be better than this. If this was like Jacksonville or Cleveland, who doesn't have a clear starter, even though they have like 5 quarterbacks, like, I'd get it a little bit. It's like you're a little more desperate. Like, the Steelers should not be this desperate. They just shouldn't be. But the way they've operated in recent years and the lack of being able to find a franchise quarterback, they find themselves in this situation where they let Justin Fields go. And they didn't re-sign Russell Wilson. Not that those are great answers, but like, even if you get Rodgers, like, what is the best case scenario? That's kind of my point. Like, if Rodgers was still playing like a top 7, 8 guy, but he's older and he's just contemplating what he wants to do with his career, he wants to skip OTAs, like, I'd be like, okay, that's cool. Like, this is still one of the 8 to 10 best on the planet. Like, I'll just throw a comparison out there. If Matthew Stafford told the Rams, hey, I'll see you in training camp, I'm not going to be at OTAs. If I'm Sean McVay, I'm like, it's a little annoying. Okay, we'll deal with that because I know what he's bringing to the table. He's still one of the best in the sport. Aaron Rodgers is not that. He's a middle-of-the-pack starter. Like, he's fine. He's probably better than what they've had recently, but this is not anywhere close to MVP Rodgers walking through that door. So I just don't really get it from Pittsburgh. I do get it from Rodgers. Like, they're not pressing the issue with me. I'll just hang out and, I'll make a decision down the road. But I'm kind of tired of talking about it. I'm tired of the updates. I'm bringing you these updates, giving my take on it because that's what I got to do for this job. But just make a damn decision, man. It's just it's ridiculous how far this is dragged out. Will Aaron Rodgers sign with the Steelers? Type S for sign or P for pass. Give me your thoughts down in the comment section below. I guess I still think he'll sign, but the longer this goes, and really that's why these narratives and these teams have these theories of maybe he's waiting on Minnesota, because until he signs, there's going to be speculation out there. That's just how the news cycle works in the social media landscape. Okay, James Cook absent from Bills OTAs. He's the only Bills player who did not report today as he wants a new contract. There was reports earlier this offseason that he wants $15 million per year, which at the time felt a little rich, but then you look at the highest paid running backs, especially with Saquon getting a pay bump, Derrick Henry as well, McCaffrey up there at 19, like Jonathan Taylor at 14, like I think that 3-4 slot is kind of what you're looking at. Like, I would take Derrick Henry in an individual season over James Cook, but Cook is more well-rounded. His ability to catch the football and be dynamic in space. Jonathan Taylor might be a slightly better pure runner, but Cook, again, as a pass catcher, is far superior. So I think you look at that list, him and his agent, they're like, yeah, I should be top 3, top 4 paid pretty easily. When it comes to highest paid running backs in the NFL. You look at what he's done the last couple of years, almost 3,000 all-purpose yards offensively. I mean, he's become one of the best 3-down backs in the NFL. Is he the best runner? No. Is he the best pass catcher? No. But he's top 5 or 7 in both. And it's hard to find those guys, the Alvin Kamaras, the Christian McCaffreys, the Le'Veon Bells. He may not be quite to the level of those peak guys, but a guy who can do it all, like that is what today's NFL really covets. Like if you're going to have a 3-down back, you got to be able to do it all, and he can absolutely do that, which is why I think he's got a pretty strong argument here. I think if he hit the open market, he'd get 15 a year, probably 4 for 60, something like that, maybe even 16, 17. So if you're Buffalo and you don't have that true number one receiver and you're in this window with Josh Allen, I don't think you have much of a choice. I think you're going to have to pay up when it comes to James Cook. Speaking of the Bills, Joey Bosa injured, which has become a theme at this point in his career. The last few years, he's missed a lot of time. He has a strained calf. He is not going to be available until training camp, so keep an eye on that one. Obviously, it's May, so it's not panic time, but I would say this is an injury to be more concerned about this time of year than like an average person having a pulled hamstring or whatever the case may be, because injuries have really piled up on Joey Bosa. Hit that subscribe button. We have daily NFL and college football content here on YouTube, here on the Verts channel. So appreciate you guys for helping us cross 10,000 subscribers. Let's keep the ball rolling and chase 11,000 here on this show. Okay, one more OTA news item, then we'll get out of here. Kirk Cousins did not report to Falcons OTAs. Not a huge surprise. He was at the early phase of the offseason program, which was kind of interesting and awkward, but Raheem Morris said he was not present today. Tom Pelissero adding the note that Cousins not on the field and that he has made it clear that he wants to play elsewhere in 2025. The problem is where is that, especially given his contract? Now, if Aaron Rodgers retired, I think Pittsburgh would become a very real possibility. I think that would at least be 50-50, if not more like 80-20, that the Steelers would trade some day 3 pick, have Atlanta eat some of Cousins' money, and call it a day. But if Rodgers plays, and clearly Pittsburgh is going to wait that out, where does Kirk think he's going to go? I mean, Minnesota traded for Sam Howell to be their backup. I don't think they would have done that if there was even a small world where Cousins could come back and at least be a backup in a place he likes better, or hell, compete with McCarthy, or be the bridge guy until JJ's fully ready. So I don't think that's an option. I think the one scenario would be if a contender starter gets injured. I don't know who that is. I know Shanahan's liked him forever. Like, I don't know, if Brock Purdy had some major injury in training camp, knock on wood that he doesn't, maybe San Francisco would be a fit. You think of those Shanahan-type systems. Like, obviously, if JJ didn't look the part, I suppose, or if he really or if he suffered another injury like he did last year, he could always go back to Minnesota. But, like, I don't know who else that is. I mean, Tennessee, if Cam Ward got hurt, could he go there? They don't have a good backup. But I just, I think Kirk Cousins is kind of stuck. I think he's just going to have to wait this out and wait for an injury elsewhere, or just wait till next offseason when it becomes more plausible for him to get cut. But I think he probably looks at this like, if I don't start this year, who's going to bring me in to start next year, even if I become available? So I get the urgency from him and his camp, but there's just not options out there. And so, I don't expect him to go to OTAs. I think he would show up for training camp. He'll probably skip mandatory minicamp, but I think he's kind of stuck. He took the contract with Atlanta thinking he'd be their guy, retire into the sunset, and that quickly did not end up being the case. Okay, where will Kirk Cousins be in 2025? I think he'll be with the Falcons, type F, other, type O, and if you want to think above and beyond, drop a team name in the comments. I think it's Atlanta, because I don't think he's going to have other options. Pittsburgh being the one wild card if that Rodgers thing does not work out. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of 4 Verts. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to today's show, and we'll see you guys next time here on the channel.